Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. Now, in today's video, we are going to look at this damage farming tank right here, the Charioteer. And we're going to talk about why it is an absolute damage farmer. So, the stats of the tank, I mean, it's got no armor whatsoever. Absolutely none. But it is a British tank, and what it does have is Hesh. So, that is going to be a very important. So you're sitting at 2,290 DPM, 9.17 seconds, which isn't that great for DPM for a tank destroyer in tier 8. The penetration is 257 on your standard APCR, and of course 193 for your Hesh. 99 on your cheap Hesh there, but we don't run no cheap Hesh, we only run the expensive Hesh. 193 pen. So of course you have a 350 alpha on your APCR and 440 on both of your Heshes. Aim time is a 4.0 seconds, dispersion 0.326. It does have a nice 10 degrees of gun depression with a top speed of 48 kilometers per hour. Now, one thing that makes this tank really good, other than the Hesh, is the speed boost that it has. It has the speed boost that makes you go faster. Now, if I'm honest, without that speed boost, I mean, the speed's not bad, but for me, you really need that speed, and I would love for the tank to go as fast as it does on a normal sort of, without using that speed boost. But obviously, it has no armor whatsoever, and without the speed boost, you're not going as fast. But yeah, the tank is all about the Hesh. It really is. Yes, it is a tank destroyer, but it's not. I mean, you can play as a tank destroyer, which is what we are going to see pretty much more so the next game, and why I said it is an absolute damage farmer. So before I start talking more about the tank, I do have to apologize. There wasn't a video yesterday, and today's video is quite late, and there's a reason for that. There is a reason for that. So as most of you know, I do have a baby due. In fact, the baby, so everyone knows that I'm making up I've got a little series coming up with, we're going to look at all the highest DPM tanks and all the lowest DPM tanks to see me through a couple of weeks, so I can have 2 weeks, a break for 2 weeks, whilst we have this baby. So I just haven't had time to make more footage. I've made most of that footage, but to be honest, I haven't been making too much footage recently, because I thought this baby was going to be born, and I'm still got that footage there. But the baby's now a week late. Yes, the baby was due last week. We still have no baby. The baby still is cooking in the tummy. So hopefully in the next couple of days, we're looking at no later than Friday. So this week, literally, it's this week, we're going to have another baby no matter what. But we're still waiting. We are hoping the baby will come on its own. But if it doesn't want to come, then obviously the doctors will have to force him out at the end of this week, which is why I'm sort of lacking behind on the video footage, because I thought the baby would be here by now and I could start the series that I've already got ready. So that is why there was no video yesterday, and because it's been a weekend, I just didn't have time to make that, where today I'm back at work and I'm able to make a couple of videos. So hopefully we will have tomorrow's video bright and early, the same normal time as usual. So the Charioteer, I mean, the Charioteer, if anyone knew what the Charioteer was like when this tank was first released, absolutely insane. Now, I know we talk about tanks that were overpowered, that were absolutely insane. The Charioteer, when it was first released, was one of the most insane tanks in the game. Why was it the most insane tank? Well, it's simple. It had the Hesh penetration, it had high penetration, but it also had DPM. Now, the reload, as you can see, is 9.2 seconds. 9.2 seconds. Do you know what it used to be? It used to be about 5.5 seconds. It used to be, honestly, about 5.5 seconds. It was absolutely insane. And actually, one of my first videos on the tank was showing a replay with someone doing over 8,000 damage. And they done that just by sitting there and farming, exactly what this guy is going to do. Now, personally, I wouldn't sit there and just farm as a tank destroyer. You know, it has the speed. I would prefer to play it more like a medium tank. I definitely wouldn't play it as a sort of supporting the heavies. If you're not going to support the mediums, then probably sitting somewhere and farming is the next best choice, because if you go and push the heavy sides, you really want to make the most of that hesh. So if you're coming up frontally against heavies, IS5s and stuff like that, then you're not really going to make full use of that hesh. Whereas if you come up against medium tanks, even frontally, I mean, look at this Lorraine, this poor Lorraine. But even frontally against these medium tanks, you will be able to hesh. So you're maximizing your HE. So you need to obviously think that this tank is only good because of the hesh. If it didn't have hesh and it just had normal sort of heat and HE as a third shell, then yeah, it wouldn't even be an average tank. It would be kind of poor, especially with the DPM that it has got, and no armor. But yeah, I mean, look at this. You can pen, if you're higher tier, I mean, that Tiger, it's not bad armor profile for a Tiger. But yeah, you can just go through that like absolute butter. I mean, that's frontally. And this is what Hesh can do. Unfortunately, that's also what Hesh can do. And you've got to be prepared for just the splash damage, where you're only doing 50 damage or 20 damage or 100 damage. You've got to bear that in mind as well. But this guy absolutely nails it. You know, he's in a perfect position to absolutely farm damage. Now, he's only farmed 1,800 damage at the moment. Now, they've got 2 tanks down on the green team, but pretty much all the red team are around this side of the map. So he can just sit here unspotted and just absolutely farm damage. That is another 400 plus damage against a M7 Yo there. I don't know, I mean, some people will carry the cheap hesh, but if I'm honest, I probably would only carry 1 or 2, maybe 3, but the majority of your shells should be the expensive hesh. Now, you can see this guy, I mean, he keeps switching. You can see he can't pen. That's the difference. You can't pen with the cheap hesh, but as soon as you switch to the more expensive hesh, then he can pen nice and easy. It's just that little bit of time difference, you know. It takes a couple of seconds, you know, to sort of switch over, when he could have just taken that shot. Now, I do understand some people taking the cheap hesh, because you're still going to come up against tanks with not a lot of armor, and if you do that, you are at least able to use the cheap hesh if you're worried about your credits. But someone with me that has a few million credits, actually a few 100 million credits, then credits isn't really a problem. So you can see here the Type 59 again gets a beautiful shot. So he's now on 5,200 damage done, and he's absolutely farmed this, and he hasn't been spotted all game, and he has not had to move all game. And when you're in a tank like this, that you're able just to farm damage and do over nearly 500 damage per shot in some instances, then that is an absolute damage farmer. But yeah, it's very underrated. The tank, how it is very underrated. Of course, it could have been much better, or it used to be, sorry, much better when it had the DPM and the low reload. But definitely, I do think maybe a little change. I would give it the more mobility without the speed boost. Take away the speed boost and make it a little bit quicker. But let me know your thoughts on the Charioteer. Definitely an underrated tank, and it is a very, very good tank with that hesh. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. I'll see you soon.